pray. Lord, our Heavenly Father, help us to pause just for a moment to thank you for the opportunities that you give us to serve you as well as serve mankind. We especially thank you for giving us a desire to always remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in our Vietnam War, as well as to our fellow comrade who yet struggles with the ups and downs of life. Bless this leadership as they lead us. Bless our community, our donors, and especially those that give of themselves, that this wall that healed might be a success. As well as, Father God, bless our community and help it to realize the significance of this wall. Lord, we promise that when it's all said and done, that we will give you the glory and the honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Charlie. Charlie is the president of the Vietnam Veterans of America, 1067, also our chaplain. So I want to welcome you all here today and thank you for coming. Let's see, there's so many things I want to start with. Well, let me start off with some preliminaries. Flyers are on the right, my right, your left, over there on the table. Pick some up. We will have coffee. We got water over there too, so feel free to get up anytime during the meeting. For those in back, we may not be able to hear you, so we have these things right here. All you got to do is press the button on the bottom. The little thing will light up, and then we can all hear you. We will have slides going on. Feel free to interrupt us at any time. So, David, let's go on to the next one. Okay, that's our kind of banner. We're going to be adding some more logos to that as we go. Lower left-hand corner are our partners. So we're going to be partnering with Alabama Public Television, and I think there's one other one. David, anybody else?
Veterans Memorial, AUSA, City of Huntsville, in the 50th anniversary. We're having you publish.
Yeah, membership partner program. Yes, thank you. So we'll be adding to this, but this is kind of like our banner poster. Lower right-hand side, Intuitive is our presenting sponsor. They stepped up to the plate early in the program, and we really appreciated that when we were a fledgling organization. So now we're really growing, and this is really good. So we appreciate Intuitive's support. David, next one. Dave, we're going to skip that because of, if you go down, next one. Look, David, if you don't mind, skip that and go to Adrian.
Oh, yes.
I think that's scale. No, next one. There you go. Okay. Okay. I would think all of you, if not, well, most of you, if not all of you, probably heard that Adrian Crownhour passed away yesterday at the age of 79. Adrian was the one they made the movie on, Good Morning Vietnam. And there's an interesting video. If you go ahead and Google Adrian Crownhour, he is actually speaking to a group, and he talks about how that came about. And it was kind of humorous in a way, because he said when he would get there in the morning and the news guy would just get off and he would slide in there, he would have to get his tapes ready, he would have to get his headphones on, he would have to get all this stuff ready. So what he would do is he would get in there and say, good, and continue it for 20 seconds while they got him and ready. And then it finished up like, Good Morning Vietnam. So kind of comical. If you can Google that, it's very interesting. You know, it's a Vietnam vet. He served in 65 to 66. He was Air Force, just FYI. So, okay, David, if you back up. Whoops, I'm sorry. Okay, let me see. Is Paul here today? Paul from a higher echelon? I guess not. Higher echelon made an additional donation of $5,000. I wanted to go ahead and give them credit for that, so that was fantastic. Also, North Alabama Helicopter Pilots Association, Vietnam Helicopter Pilots Association made a great donation, silver donation. Where's my guys? Okay, if you guys can stand up.
That's it.
That's it.
It only takes one. Here's your check. $3,500.
See that right there? All right. I think Ray right here will gladly accept your check. And let's see, AUSA. Can I get a rep from AUSA to stand? They are our silver sponsor. Mike, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all, Mark. appreciate that. That's fantastic, and we need all we can get. We're still short, and Ray is going to brief us on that a little later on. Miss Toya Linebarger, okay, she's not here, but we've got Steve. Yeah, Steve. And Steve, give me your last name. McCain. Steve McCain is representing the Vet Center. So if you all want to ask him any questions while he's here, you know, he is just joining our group, and we really need him here. So thank you for coming, sir. Also, Bob Droulet's not here, I don't think. Bob Whiteford. Bob, can I ask you to come up here? Bob Whiteford, I want you to meet the original organizer from 18 years ago who organized this same event 18 years ago. Next time,
I'm the original John, and more likely the original Norm. The 2000s. It's better recent.
And Bob, we have a token of our appreciation from this group. We have a Vietnam coin, the one from South Vietnam, just for you, sir. So thank you.
Bob, question, please.
Yes.
For everybody else's benefit, how many people do you estimate was at that event?
About 30,000 came through past the wall that year. 30,000. Yeah. I know what John's estimate is. He's very conservative, but
We're looking at 10.
yeah, you're looking at 10, about 30,000. But it was a great show, great hall, just wonderful. I'm glad it's back. I thought it was 4 or 5 years ago, but hell, it was 2000.
Believe that? Thank you, sir. And Bob, hopefully we can invite you back here so you can share your stories with us. So, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause, Bob Whiteford. Thank you. Okay, David, next line. Okay, we have 3 more meetings to go for our event. So I've made that about as large as I could font-wise, because if you think about it, we only have 3 more meetings. So, you know, it's just unbelievable how time is getting away on us. So, but anyways, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty, and our team will talk to you today that we are reaching goals, we are achieving goals, and we're making progress, which is really good, and I appreciate you all helping out. This is very important. It's a team effort. So next one, David. This is a picture that I pulled off the Wall That Heals website. It's a really good picture. This is the new wall, the 3/4 size wall, but it gives you a real good indication of how tall it is, and also what we will be doing come on November 1 and through November 4th. So, thank you, David. Next.
Hey, John, quick question. on
Yes,
this.
sir. Yes, sir, Al.
Do the panel numbers and the line numbers on the wall, do the panel numbers and the line numbers on the Wall That Heals correspond to the panel numbers and the line numbers on the Vietnam Memorial?
Good question. Yes. Yes, David?
The answer is the people that made the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, VVML, are the same people that made the wall. So it's the same people, so yes.
Good, good. And that was Hal Winton. Hal wants to talk to Arlen Buss. Where's Arlen? Okay, I want to hook you 2 guys up, maybe at the end of the meeting. Okay. Next slide, David. Okay, now, for those of you who've been to the meeting, this is an old slide, but for the new people, I want to go ahead and just review where we are. So this is a pictorial view of where the area is for the event. It's called the Festival Area, City of Huntsville, and it's in the John Hunt Park. And let me get the laser pointer. And David DeLisser is here with us today. David, stand up. Where are you, partner? David DeLisser. Dave, stand up. Stand up. Everyone look around. Take a look at David. David is the man that's making this happen. Okay? Oh, well, I like that. Introduce him, David.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to have my staff with me, and people that have worked in veterans events before recognize 2 out of 3, I'm sure, that's sitting beside me. All these are my right and left hands. We got Bruce Keel. We got our new employee, who's Matt Coker. He's we actually stole him from another department. He is awesome. And then we got Eric Hemselmeyer.
Very good, thank you. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. I said we couldn't do this without David. David is our representative from the city of Huntsville. He is making all this happen, and I've got some pictures that are going to be coming up of our progress. So, next slide, David. Okay, this is now zeroing in on the actual area. So, the festival area, let's see, my pointer is working. Got a good pointer? Okay, the festival area is right here. South Parkway is right here. Airport Road, we've got the Veterans Museum, the JC building. So this area right here, now I went down there and I took some pictures last weekend. I am going to be standing, or I was standing right there. Joe Davis Stadium is over here. So David, next please. Okay, so I am now standing on that road looking toward the old Joe Davis Stadium, okay? This is construction work, or right over here is what is going on. The field where we will have the wall is right over here. On the opposite side is where we're going to have the tent, the ceremonies tent. And next, David. Now, this is the gateway that we'll be looking at, and this is what David is working on with his people down there. This is what the architect is looking at. Next, David. Now, this is what it looks like right now. Okay, here's the archway right here. The field is behind it. David, is there anything you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, we had project meetings as late as yesterday afternoon, and we are on schedule. We're hoping to have everything completed by mid-September, which will give us plenty of time. After that, Colonel Myers and I will meet with landscape, et cetera, to make sure that we get some infrastructure behind there in order to have, whether we want to do grass or some sort of a hard surface for wheelchair and handicap accessibility. So we're working on some additional amenities before the wall comes.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Thank you. So if you go down there now, that's what you're going to see, but it'll all be done by the time we move in October. Okay, David, next one. Okay, looking south, that's that main road again. The JC building is over here, out of the picture, but the Veterans Memorial Museum is over here. You can see right here, they're putting trees in. On the previous slide, they had the light poles in, or light poles laying down. They'll be putting them in, so we'll have a lighted way. David, next one. And this is the opposite side. This is the west side looking. This is the field where we're going to have the ceremonies tent. So beautiful field, beautiful area. And right there is a foundation for one of the light poles. So we will have this whole area lined with lights. So it will be fantastic. David, thank you so much, and the city of Huntsville for doing everything. So, Dave, next slide, please. Okay, David, you're up. David Carney, that is. I don't want to put the listener on the spot.
Let me let,
David, double check that.
I'll let Jennifer drive. Jen, two of the questions that we are asked most often is, how do I donate? So she's going to do a walkthrough on that. And how do I find where a person's name is? And she's going to show us that also here in the slides. First, I'd like to say what we've been doing in the media side is organizing our media team as in training, what events they're going to go see, what is going on. I think in our tour, the tours we're going to offer, we'll start with the education trailer, then the wall, and then the JC building. The one thing I care about most is I don't want any media, we're not without media here from Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, because we're getting a lot of coverage. I'm not going to help anybody on some front page of some newspaper who's coming for the story. I'm not going to have anybody having a front page picture of somebody crying against the wall. That's just not going to happen. We're going to do total respect, and that's what my media team is being trained towards. And so we're lining up for that. And I do see a couple of our media people here today. Bill, Dane, thanks for coming, Let's see, so now Jen, who is our social media person, our website guru, she does all the behind the scenes work. I just stand here and talk. She says that's what I'm able to do. So she's going to show us how you sign up, how you make a donation. Go ahead and go there.
She can't see you standing in the way, Dan.
How am I supposed to know that? Anyway, she pulls up her website. She pulls up her website, and over on the left side is the menu. And you see the thing that says individual donations. Gold, silver, bronze, duty, honor, and country. And the one we're looking at is duty. In this one, and like she'll be at the back of the room here in a few minutes for anybody that wants to make a donation today, you can decide any amount you want to contribute. $5 works fine. $5, $10, but whatever amount you specify, the amount is what matters. And just puts all the information in and hit the donate now. And Jennifer at the Veterans Memorial will receive an email automatic, and it will go into her money automatic. You want to back up for a moment? Let's see. We'll go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah. And anybody that does walk back there and say, Jen, I want to give you $5, maybe $5,000. A couple people here, I see Warren Harmony will give $5,000.
Thanks, Warren.
Just walk back there to them, we'll give you a nice little, we'll print you out a nice little certificate that says thank you and give it to you later. But anyway, she's going to be at the back there. We go to the next one, please. Yes. The next one is the question I'm getting all the time, and we're having new posters printed to show our partners, which I'll talk about in a moment, and also having business card size printed. On one side it's going to say this website address here, how to look up names, and also several numbers of how many, anybody know how many females died in Vietnam? Sir?
6, I think.
8. And it's going to be on this card, along with some other numbers. They're all nurses, by the way. So that's all going to be on the card. But here in a minute, she'll walk around to the back with her iPad and help anybody that would like to make a donation right now. And Warren's first in line. Go ahead.
That's 3-0.
To look up if somebody's on the wall, there's a website address right there. It's going to be on these cards I'm printing also. thewall-usa.com. And it has a fill in the blank type thing, type in the name, and it pulls it all up for you. Are you going to it now? There it is. And right there, search the wall. And just fill in the information and it will tell you where it's at. thewall-usa.com. And let's go back to the thing now. And back to the PowerPoint. Great. And let's see our partners. One thing we did do here a couple of weeks ago, Jim Henderson and I, chaplain, went down to Birmingham. In fact, a week before, a couple of weeks before, they had met with us, the people, the CEO of Roy Clem and his staff of Alabama Public Television. Then Jim and I went down and met with them, had lunch with them, a great couple of hours. And they said, we want to partner with y'all. And we said, wow. We're still working out all the details, what all they're going to do for us, but that is huge. We've been talking with our people at DBML in Washington, and they say, wow. So we got good stuff coming from that. And our partners, I wanted to mention, John said a while ago, City of Huntsville, AUSA, the Veterans Memorial, and Commemorative Partner Program, and Zig's going to talk about that, of course. Our host and our host organization, which is Charlie Miller. Any questions over what I have covered? Sir?
Will that capability to find locations on the wall be available at the site itself?
Oh, that's a good question. At the site, yes, sir. At the site, the layout that Norman's been providing, the map layout. From the parking lot, first thing you come to when you're right is the media information tent. That's where I want all media to come to. We want that choke point right there. And then just beyond it is the information trailer, the van they've been showing, and there they'll have the ability, and they'll help you with looking up names. There's people there that will help, and then show you where it's at and everything. That answer you?
You know how many personnel, because I did one of these things, like Sergeant Major about 20 years ago, and that's the biggest bottleneck. What I found out was you need 7 to 10 people at least. Otherwise, you get a long line there. David.
Sir.
Hal and I worked this out the other night. He asked me the same question. I pulled up my cell phone, and I'm not computer literate. Typed in TWTH, went to wall faces, wrote the guy's name in, and what happened, Hal?
Found it.
Found it, his picture, his location, and all kind of other data. So the wall faces is a good place to go for that information also. And we'll get that out. We'll have to make a board.
I've got business card size cards, so you can put in your wallet and
If
keep
we
it
get
coming up.
30,000 people here, like you said, we're not gonna have enough business cards. We're gonna have to have a sign somewhere.
There, the info tent, I think, will, Norman's gonna do a sign.
We're addressing that, and we'll get more information out on that.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? Next slide, please. Go ahead. I turn it over to Norm.
Okay, Norman's our operations team lead. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Yes.
Who's driving? Could you pull up the next one, please? Been no change to our organizational structure. I know there's some new folks in here today. They were asking a little bit about that, but down the left side, you've got the 50th anniversary with Zig, Finance Ray, Brian Dotson on donations, Dave Carney Communications, Education is Laura. John's at the top there in the middle column with Pete Fast, myself, and we got this group we call the operations team. So that's what I'm going to talk to. So I'll have each one of those stand up. Rather than take an hour of your time each time we do operations, today we're not going to focus on logistics or ceremonies. We'll catch them the next time. So next slide. The only thing new here is in working with David DeLisser at the city, we're going to have cones right along this area right here, and that's where our 6-passenger carts and electric carts, it won't take up much space at all, but we'll be putting those to carry, especially those that are handicapped in any way, shape, or form. Yes, sir.
The VA was planning on bringing the mobile vet center. Where would you put the mobile vet center out here?
Okay, right now we've got it parked over here, but that's negotiable where we put it, and we have Pepsi up here as well. That's about the only change here, other than in looking at all the activities and things we may or may not want to do, places for the students to have lunch. These are tents right here. These pictures represent tents. You see the flags cascading around the U.S. flag. Alabama flag has given us a 30-foot flagpole and a flag to go on it, and it's going to make all the service flags for us, brand new, outdoor flags, double-sided, and they're donating all of that to help us out. Yes?
Because of the question I got, would you show parking lot, media tent, and education trailer?
And just to orient you again, John gave you another view. This is Joe Davis Stadium over here. Here's the JC building down here. So we're looking south that way, up this way we're looking east. You can see the small compass up there. So the idea is when buses come or when anyone coming, they can park over in this area right here, and we're going to drive them in this direction. This is our media info tent, which will be right here. They'll capture the media there, plus provide information about the other things veterans related in the city of Huntsville. We'll have that information in here as well. And then we will carry down, we have the 6-passenger carts, we'll carry folks down that need that and drop them off here. This is your information tent for the wall itself. That's the actual tractor trailer. When it opens up with an awning on either side, it becomes your information tent for the trailer. This is the archway John talked about, and of course across the street here's the flag and the ceremony. We're going to have a guest book in here and one of our folks will be in there clicking off. And I disagree with anybody that says 10,000. I think it's 30,000 plus myself. So I do agree with you, Sergeant Major. I think that's a good estimate, but I'm just guessing, so I could be wrong. I have a shuttle running down here. It's strictly for going up to the Veterans Museum and back and forth. We don't know how many folks may come and want to go see the museum. The students will be driven in this direction, and Zig will talk to you more about what they're going to see when they go down there. That's really about it. There's a dirt service road back here, and we saw that as a good way if we have emergency vehicles and so forth. So we're not going to block up that area there. Staff parking can be done here as well down at the JC building. There'll be some lighting up here, and of course in this area here we may have some generators because there's not, David, unless that's changed, there's no power on this side of the street, correct? Because we got to be, David, right? Be generation, power generators?
Put in power, and we're trying to see how far it's going to extend down. We made a request, but we don't
Okay. The city's been fantastic. My hat is off to them. They have really stepped in and really helped us out a lot. And then there'll be a very, very nice handicap-equipped bathroom that they have. They have a couple of them, but I think we're going to place one somewhere over in this area here. So that kind of gives you an idea. This will be roped off here. People will not be able to walk across here. We'll have a nice chain set up so that people will be forced to come through the archway here. POW MIA table, Arlen, would you stand up? Arlen Busk, he's our ceremony guy. He's putting an outdoor version of that together so that it can sit out in all kinds of weather. We're going to build that one. And I don't mean to steal anybody else's thunder, but we will have some wreath laying. The plan is to put them in here if an organization wants to come and put a wreath. Now, we're not going to have 50 ceremonies of wreath laying. We'll have a period of time. It'll all be coordinated where a group can come in and they can put a wreath in here. We're still working on exactly how that's going to work. Any questions on this? This is pretty locked in place now. Yes, sir.
My question is not on this, but a general question. Do we have insurance for volunteers?
Andy, use the mic.
Okay, I'll pass. His question was, do we have insurance for volunteers? So Ray is our insurance guy.
We do, yes.
His answer is yes. All right.
Hey, Nora?
Yes, sir.
I just happened to think of something. We start talking 30,000 people. You're going to push everybody right through that one small archway?
Yes. Next question. He said, are we going to push everybody? One of the requirements of the folks up north is that we drive people here. And we do not want people going into this area here. We want them to go through here. It's a beautiful archway, and we're going to have a person there with a clicker, and they can sign a guest book. So, what's the difference if you make them go through the archway and they walk on a nice surface as they go over, or you just let everybody walk in? So, our option is we're going to control it.
It's going to be crowded.
It's going to be crowded either way. That would be a good thing. Can I answer it? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. It may have been, it's my first time here. It may have already been answered, but what about items that are left at the wall?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Items that are left at the wall? I'm sure there
Right, Roger. Ricky Laws. Ricky, where are you? Okay, Ricky is my logistician, and the first thing that we intend to do with our team on site, and by the way, I have around-the-clock operations. It's a section within this tent right here, and there'll be a manager in there. He's in charge of the whole event that takes place during his shift. One of the items is what is left at the wall. If it's paper, we're going to put it in Ziploc bags. We're going to try and keep everything left at the wall, unless it's going to blow away. At the end of the event, our intent was to capture it all from where it came from on the wall, document it all, put it in a box and store it at the museum, correct, John? And at some point in time at the museum, they may be in a situation where they can afford to put out a display of the items left. I mean, there have been motorcycles, Harleys, left at the wall up in Washington. So we are planning for that. Can I answer your question? Thank you.
Hey, Norm?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times people leave a dozen of cookies there, stuff perishable stuff. We didn't take perishable stuff to the Veterans Museum. We didn't eat the perishable stuff either. But no, we didn't carry that stuff over there. Somewhere in the bowels of the Veterans Museum is something from 2000 that was left in the wall. We didn't collect it daily. We waited to allow the ambiance of that, all that stuff laying out there, and then collected it after the visitors were gone.
Correct. See, I think we have the same policy, and thanks for your, this is the packet that came from 2000, and there's the keeper of the packet here. We've been through this, we've drained it of all the good stuff, cribbed it, and you're seeing it now.
That stuff out there.
Last thing I'll say to you, here, reference our volunteers. A lot of work's going on behind the scenes, and we put, all our different teams are putting together their plans. We're capturing what I'm calling an operations manual, which will be, it'll cover everything that a manager needs to know, but the volunteers will get either a guide or a handbook. Al, stand up. Al's our, he's my S3, to be honest with you. And he's going to talk to you in a little bit and share with you just some of the details in the schedule and the stuff that we're working on. But we'll have a handout digitally actually provided to the volunteers on, all right, here's what you need to know when you get to the wall. There'll be all kinds of training. You'll hear more about that in a little bit here. All right, let's move on, lest we be here too long. So what I got, here's my operations team, and you'll see this slide again as we change from each individual. I tried to be at the beginning, give a little bit of guidance and, creative as much as possible to capture where we're going. Now we're getting into the guys where the rubber meets the road, and you'll be hearing from them rather than me. So, Al?
Good morning, Al Watts.
Al. Just hold on. Yeah, you gotta do it. Yeah.
As was just now demonstrated, I retired about a little over a year ago, and at that point gave up public speaking. I'll be right here, briefing from the desk, and if you have any questions, make sure you answer real loud, because I'm an old field artilleryman, deaf in one ear, can't hear out the other. So ask your question real loud so Norm can answer it. Next slide, please.
Just change the slide.
Next slide. Has me contact information, next slide. Right. As John indicated, we're coming up real quick on this. For those people who have done these things before, we don't have a lot of time left. We don't have a lot of time left to get this thing done with everything that needs to get done. So bear with us as we talk about things like Norm just already talked about, this operations and volunteer document. Our volunteer guidelines got to be almost 50 pages. So at that time, we decided, whoops, that's too much for a volunteer to handle literally, and we decided that was an operations manual anyway. So we divided that into a couple manuals. First of all, we've got the volunteer handbook that we got down to about 14 pages right now, a lot more manageable. We'll shrink it down even further so they can put it in the BDU pocket like we always used to do, so that the volunteers will have just what they need to know handed with them, available to them. There are about 10 different categories of volunteers as we speak right now. That's major volunteer categories. There's a couple of categories like media that has a couple of subcategories, like David has somebody to man his tent, plus he has media escorts. Well, that's kind of lumped into one volunteer category and David will be coming out with an SOP, if you will, for media that will be published under separate guidelines, separate publication, specifically for his escorts. So as I'm bringing it right now, as we publish those things, you can feed them into us so we can get those kind of gathered together in one place. That would be helpful. That's for David or anybody else that's going to publish something that's kind of separate. If you could make sure we could get a copy of that, that would be appreciated. So, because we'll be the ones having to answer the questions on that, please. We plan on getting that done by 31st of October, the operations manual and the volunteer guide, those two books finished. Next slide, please. One over too fast. The last entry on that last slide was the volunteer identification complete, 28 September. That's for John Mays. Next to him, he'll be coming. He's in charge of pretty much all the volunteers. That's our mark on the wall, so that we have a name identified for each volunteer slot that's in the database that John Mays is handling and talk about here in a few minutes. But that's our mark on the wall to make sure that we have a good solid gut check on, we have the adequate volunteers, we have the number of volunteers that we're calling for, and names identified so that the volunteer points of contact can contact the volunteers out there in the world that have volunteered for this thing, individually kind of thing, so we can give them further information from a point of contact perspective prior to some things coming up here in just a minute. Next slide. There's some things in October going on. That's the big month coming up with volunteer hats and Invest Their Eyes. That's what John with Rick Laws working that. Ricky Laws is our stood up in the back there. He's our in that blue shirt back there. He's our supply guy. He's our S4 guy. He's the one that's helping arrange all this stuff. But that's when we get that finished, as well as the signs completed. Ricky's been working real hard on a list of all the signs that we need out there, what those signs you need to say, everything from tent signs to direction signs to information signs out there. And Rick's got a very exhaustive list of those signs that he's working on now to make sure those things come together. We've got the school lunch requirements. We've got Gil Ferguson as our food service technician, if you will, or food service officer. He went out to Chick-fil-A and got Chick-fil-A to volunteer to give us a day's worth of food free. And so he volunteered to coordinate with Chick-fil-A. We've got 22 October is that date, the last time when we need to affect that coordination with Chick-fil-A, exactly what they need on the ground. We talked a moment ago about the electrical power to get that before the parties. We don't talk about that. Then on a little later, 26 October, looking at the stake layout. What we're talking about is getting out on the ground. Norm showed you that detailed slide on where we're expecting things to go out there, is to get out there and get that on the ground with engineer tape or whatever it's going to take to lay out exactly where each thing is going to go in that field, make sure it's going to all fit in that box that Norm's planned out for us there. 28 October is when the JC building is available for setting his operations. Then we were looking at the 29th, 31st of October to get the signs installed, and then 29th of October when the carts arrive, there's some carts that arrive out there. Next slide, please. We're going to set up the tents on the 29th. That's when the operations headquarters is going to be established, on the 30th. There are some things that we need to put on the schedule that are not there yet. On the 31st of October, David Carney's going to have a press conference at 1000 hours. There's going to be security training going on during the month of October. Ralph Harris is going to be coordinating. Ralph Harris, if you'd stand up, Ralph Harris is our key guy there for security. He's the one that's putting together all the security lists and so forth. You'll hear from him at a later time in one of these meetings, I'm sure. But he's got some security training that's going to be a 1 hour period, given 4 times during the month of October for his security personnel. Then the 10, 1100, 1200 hours, that's the latest I had for when the wall arrives at the Lake Up location at the Harley Davidson on I-565, moves to the John Hunt Park, arrives at John Hunt Park. At that time, the trailer will be spotted down, the education trailer will be spotted down, a very, very key piece of the whole display. When the education trailer gets spotted down with all the motorcycle escorts and everybody that's going to be there. This time we've got it at 700 hours of flag raising ceremony, but that's still in the works right now. The intent is to play assembly, play to the colors, appropriate music, to raise the flag for the event, and the flag will remain raised until 1500 hours on Sunday when we bring it down. There will be some volunteer training on the 30th, that day. That volunteer training will be for the ambassadors or for people that will be out there. Time will be provided to the leads of those people so that they can go through the training with them. For example, I'll be training the operations headquarters personnel on the 30th of October to let them know what they're going to do more specifically during the event. Now, obviously, or what I spoke to earlier was pre-coordination with the volunteers to make sure that they have the documents and answer any questions possible before the event, before the 30th. But on the 30th, we plan on getting the volunteers that will be available. We don't anticipate every volunteer being there on that day, just for their time available to be there. But those personnel that can attend some training on that day, briefings on that day, we'd like to have them there. 31st of October, so there's a soft opening. That's when we set up the wall, and then once the wall is set up, I understand we'll allow people to come to the wall, although it's not been officially welcomed and so forth yet. The people from up north, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund personnel will be conducting some training, and then Ralph brought to our attention that there will probably be a fire marshal inspection sometime that day, so we need to be ready for a fire marshal to come in and inspect us with the tents, fire extinguishers, those kinds of things. Next slide, please. 1 November is when the wall opens. We'll start with the children's tours. That's actually 8:20 in the morning, when we expect the children to get there that first day with the lunches, then the welcome ceremony that afternoon. Norm's already talked about the wreath laying, that's to be determined. We'll continue with the tours and lunches the next day, and the Vietnam, or the 50th anniversary lecture series will start in the JC building. Next slide, please. On the 4th of November, when we get ready to close it down, Charlie Miller, our chaplain, will be conducting the field service from 1445 hours. At that time, we'll have a retreat tap ceremony to bring the flag down, close the wall, we'll pack the wall that evening. The wall will start the next day, the tents be taken down, and then
There'll be a chaplain from the Arsenal, actually.
Okay, I stand corrected. There'll be a chaplain from the Arsenal conducting that ceremony, and then the wall will be taken down, and then I understand the wall will probably leave that night. However, we will be having the carts and other material in the area that we will not be turning back until the 5th of November. So the operations center will be manned that night. We'll have security in John Owens Park that night until all the tents are torn down and the carts and the other material turn back that next day. Some point in time, we're going to have called an after-action review. That's where we pat ourselves on our back for things that went good, fuss at each other for things that went bad. Any questions? I guess I'll be followed by.
Okay, I'm John Bays. I've got the volunteers sign up and trying to work that area there to get us to where we need to be. It's going to take a lot of folks to make this happen, and so the volunteer list is growing. Earlier this week, I was talking to Norm. I think it was Tuesday, and at that time we only had about 7% that signed up, and it's been open out there for a couple of weeks now. Well, this morning before I come to the meeting, I checked it, and we're at 11.18%. So I can see some growth there, and that makes me feel real good, because I anticipated at the start of this thing that getting volunteers would be absolutely no problem. And I'm really believing that, because I think everybody's going to start stepping up. We're hitting mainly the military organizations right now, the veteran organizations, and trying to get them all in there, because we really need a lot of vets out there. And then we're going to start opening it up to the others, to the Lockheed and everybody else that's out there. Anybody who wants to participate, we'll send them an opportunity to get everybody to sign up. So we've got a lot of good things going there and everything. One thing I do want to point out is we've been looking at this week between Ralph and I, and the Sign Up Genius has a couple issues, and one of the things is if somebody on the street walks up and says, "Hey, I want to sign up, how do I do it?" "Oh, it's on Sign Up Genius, just go to that and sign up." Well, they go there, then it's going to ask them for an email that's associated with it. And that email that's associated with it is alabamavba1067@gmail.com. Well, if they don't know that, it's just about impossible to get to where we need to be with it, unless you go through 5 or 6 different steps. So what I want to do is the email or the line that's up there on the screen